Metalner is absolutely an alien in every sense of the word. I mean, I suppose the word's only got it's got two senses. It's not the most versatile word in the language. He's both literally an alien and one of the most unique and offbeat monsters in the entire franchise. He's a little robo-man who fights with bastardized Tai Chi and other strikes and styles he learned from watching people fight over the millennia. It also has a unique and completely missable unlock option that no one without internet access would have been able to figure out on their own. Metalner's existence is insular both in the fact that Monster Rancher 2 is the only game it appears in, as well as being a product of late 90s gameplay and secret design that's often not seen anymore. He's the stuff of playground rumors, and I've also been told he's pretty strong. Metalner has the quickest guts regeneration rate of any monster at 6, which until Monster Rancher 2 DX was unique to him. It helps add to the theming that he's not like the other girls. He's also got a really unique stat spread and hold up. I'm being informed that the alien question thing I was talking about doesn't actually have anything to do with unlocking Metalner. Well, that can't possibly be true. I read it on the internet. And as we all know, no one's allowed to lie on the internet, except for, the fact that the internet is basically held together with gum and misinformation at this point. There's a widely propagated myth that you needed to say you believed in aliens for Metalner to show up, and I assume this is because of the wait a bunch of years and get really far into the game bit was more than most casual players were capable of doing on their first attempt. You just have to have beaten at least 2 of the major 4 tournaments and be 10 years into the game, and once September rolls around, you'll be visited by aliens, and voila, you got a magic alien spawning crystal. Tale as old as time. Metalner wasn't actually alone in this type of unlocking condition rumor. It was basically in fashion to say random bullshit online on message boards in the late 90s in an attempt to fuck with other players. Ghost was also a casualty of this type of misinformation. For an extremely long time, it was thought in Monster Rancher 1 that you needed to raise an evil monster cruelly and then let it die, which is just a few words mashed together that don't actually mean anything, and then forgo a funeral, then grab a monster from the shrine and then win the first upcoming E-rank tournament. Doing so would curse the monster and then you would get to use it in combination to make a ghost. It turns out this whole thing is way more simple and wasn't widely known until recently because the method to get ghosts in Monster Rancher 1 is unfortunately extremely RNG dependent. You just need to have a monster die and then enter a tournament within 15 weeks of the death with a monster you haven't previously brought to the ranch. You then have a very small chance for the monster to be cursed, but that's it. Also, if you've watched my competitive Arrowhead playthrough, you might know that the name Cool Lobster comes from a 25-year-old GameFAQs hint that said going to the market in the summer allowed you to unlock a cool lobster. Not technically wrong, but it's like saying a marble is smaller than Ohio. It's right, but I mean, it's not the most useful bit of information. If you're looking for more info on actually unlocking monsters, I have a whole video on that stuff. But yeah, Metalner's 6 guts rate allows it to be one of the absolute strongest tanks in the entire game when played in conjunction with the Anger Battle Special, which boosts his guts regen by 50% and Withering by 100%. The only other battle specials that boost Withering are Real, which we've talked about at a great length in the Rancher Rundown series, and Fury, a battle special inborn on Dragon, Galley, and Phoenix that doubles your damage and Withering. Fury for a very long time was a misunderstood battle special. It has a chance to proc when the monster with Fury is hit by a monster with a battle special active, but the old idea was that the monster needed to be in its movement animation when it takes damage. It sounds really silly in retrospect, but decades of playtime have given us a much clearer lens to view the game through. Metalner is a really strange stat line, which makes it one of the more unwieldy monsters for new players to use. Regular training methods that forgo Paradoxin and other drug use tend to be a bit ineffective in making Metalner into a threat. Of course, Peaches help patch up his stats like they do for everyone else by allowing you to boost his prime, but he won't be living for 20 years like the infamous Golem Man. This guy claimed that he had a secret training method that allowed his golems to live for 20 plus years, and while it's laughable at first glance, it is actually possible if you're degenerate enough to abuse the lifespan lengthening effects of Magic Bananas on the PSX version, but unfortunately if you want a 20-year-old monster in DX, you'll need to track down the Golem Man himself and allow him to impart his wisdom onto you. Metalner's techs are pretty straightforward, but they've got some interesting utility. Interesting is a strong word, I suppose. Nothing, say, as interesting as the persistent rumor that Raki's necromancy stopped the opponent from using grit due to its unique animation. This is just simply not true though, and considering how easy this was to test, I'm not sure why people went along with it for so long. People also thought Raki's explosion and other recoil attacks could self-KO with power active, because I don't know, maybe they thought it doubled the self-damage. But again, this isn't true, and it's incredibly easy to test, so I'm not sure why it was ever a rumor to begin with. Metalner doesn't have a lot of tech chains, which makes getting your preferred tech loadout pretty simple. Other monsters don't necessarily have this ease of use benefit going on for them, and certain monsters like Hare still have a ton of misinfo online regarding their tech chains, which makes wading through the quagmire of info trying to find out what is true a non-issue for Metalner. Getting Kung Fu Kick with Hare is not the convoluted mess the internet would like you to believe it is. It's just a simple 3-step tech chain that isn't particularly unique in any other way. None of this hybrid, complete 2 separate tech chains, raise the hair under a full moon, sacrifice your firstborn to the blood god, I don't know. It's nothing like that. It's just a 3-step tech chain. It's very simple. I don't know why it was so complicated. Metalner. Hey, what's up with this Triceratops on the cover? Like, the internet was filled with different strategies to unlock him, but it turns out that just like every other game in the franchise, Monster Rancher 2 has a shoestring budget, and nowhere is that more apparent than in the art and promo material. This dinosaur is supposed to be a dog. Like, let that sink in. It's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, you know, this is 2, so you be the judge on what's more accurate. There is no Triceratops monster, and there never was, despite my friends desperately trying to convince me otherwise. Colin. So, how good is Metalner? Yeah, he's pretty good.